Well, I promised you we'd talk about backup power and what to look for when making your choices this week, and we're going to do that. I'm also going to nag you about air filters, and I've got a couple of just downright nice stories to kind of offset the grumpy attitude from last week. Come on in, get settled. Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Bateman, part of the team here at Refuse to be a Victim Personal Protection Training. And every story you see in the media concerning a disaster talks about electrical power being lost, and it's become quite a significant issue when the power grids are not being overloaded by our need to stay cool, which is a rational need. I'm sorry, that's important. But the costs and storms taking down power and taking the ability for you to keep things the way they need to be in good shape. So I'm a solar person. Not everybody is. Some people get really upset with me. Bill, what do you got against gasoline generators? I don't have anything against them. I just like the things solar can do better. They don't have all the features. They are not as powerful, although they're getting very, very close. But my point here is not to get into the name calling and finger pointing we seem to come up with on just about any topic. I want to look at what you need when buying backup power. Now, how much power are you going to need to run your items? Okay, a smartphone or a tablet, 1,000-watt portable power station, that's a big battery, a solar unit, should be able to handle 80 recharges of a smartphone, 30 recharges of a tablet, 20 of your laptop. It can run a mini fridge, a 35-watt mini fridge, for approximately 28 hours. You can even get a full-size refrigerator, a 71-watt unit, for 14 hours. And this goes on and on. The one I really like is a pellet grill, which takes about 60 watts, at least mine does. That's good for 17 hours. You can get yourself a very nice nice brisket, or you can use a pellet grill for a lot of fascinating cooking things, right up to and including baking, and use it as an actual grill and cook up some flapjacks for the team. So, first step in picking a power supply, a secondary power supply. What are you going to try to power, and how much does that item take? How much does your refrigerator take? How many watt hours does it take? And then you look at what you're doing, a gasoline generator, a solar generator. Now, gasoline generators, as long as they're running, they're producing the power. So it becomes more a case of how much fuel do you have and what is the capacity of your gasoline generator. They come in different sizes, just as the solar batteries do. They go, the solar batteries have 1,000 watt. I have a 1,000 watt and a 1,500 watt unit, and there's a whole logic behind that I'll be happy to explain to if you're ever interested in. How long do you have to run your item? We know that a refrigerator, for example, doesn't have to run 24 hours a day at full maximum capacity to safely keep your foods good to eat. So, step one, what are you going to try and run? Make a list. Okay, I want to run the refrigerator. I want to run the router. I want to have my CPAP on. That's kind of handy. You might want that. You want to recharge the laptop. You want to keep the smartphone up. And we got some little lights, some little headlamps, some little mini flashlights. And we may even have some portable lights that you string along. They're like party lights, I will call them for the sake of simplicity. An 11-watt light bulb, by the way. Those new incandescent last for a long time. 11-watt light bulbs look like 60 watts. They'll run 90 hours on a 1,000-watt portable power station. Okay, not bragging, just comparing. Step one, determine what you're going to need to do. And then Figure out what size generator you need. Do you want 1,000 watts? Do you need a 1,500 watt? How long do you have to run your gasoline generator to power these items effectively? Then look at the cost of the unit. First is, what is it going to cost you to buy? How much is this 1,000 watt solar battery? What do you need to go with it? Well, the first thing you're going to need to go with the solar battery is solar panels. You've got the battery, you have to power it up. You need solar panels. You're going to need some cable. You're going to need some AC adapter, and you're probably going to want to be able to plug it into your car or any other type of electrical power source you have. So take a look at what you're going to need totally in the cost. How much power is it going to generate? How many hours will it generate? And what do you need to generate power for that time? We'll stick on solar because I got the page up in front of me. How long can you plan to be in one spot, I guess is what I'm trying to say. How long can you plan to be in one spot with your solar panels set up? It takes, if you're going to plug it in to the wall, well, it'll be 9 hours if you just plug it into the regular household circuit. You can do it in as little as 2 hours with a 600 watt power supply that's sold separately. You can store from the sun, but it's going to take you up to 24 hours. Now, the sharpest of us among us are going to pop up and say, wait a minute, the sun isn't up all the time. No, it's not. So you're talking it's going to take you a couple days to come to a full recharge unless you have extra panels. So this becomes a math problem. Same thing with your gasoline generator. How much gasoline is it going to take? What are the plus cases and negative cases of storing gasoline? Does gasoline go bad? Do you have the necessary additives or preservatives to ensure that your fuel is safely being saved and stored, as well as going to be efficient when you plug it in or pour it in, or whatever you want to call it, to the tank? With gasoline, you have to look at venting. Naturally, any motor, you can't run that in the house. You're going to have to worry about safety and security with either solar or gasoline, because if your house is the only house on the block has lights on, you're going to attract some attention. You are going to become a point of interest. Look at the cost. Look at the operating concerns. Look at the portability. If you have to leave, and I'm looking at the serious earthquake, flood, major type, we got to get out of here. How much of this can you take with you? I think portability, the solar is going to win just on physical weight of the unit. I think, carrying the gas with you, if you are on the road, having extra gas for your vehicle can be a godsend, especially if the stations are not available. So this is a research project you have to do. Too many people, and I'm holding my own hand up, pointing at me. When I first got into this, I said, well, I want to do this, that, and the other, and oh, that's too much. I added up my wattage. I'd need this tremendous generator. So I trimmed down. Instead of a big lamp, I got down to a little light that only took 10 watts, 6 watts, little rechargeable flashlights, looking at portable batteries to put in portable candles. So estimate how much wattage you're going to need. Estimate what size unit is going to produce that energy and for how long. How easily can you move this item from point A to point B if you have to? How durable is it? I have two types of solar panels. One is glass. Well, we all know moving glass. If you've ever tried to move a giant mirror over a bumpy road, you've pretty well got the idea. I also have a set of solar panels that are very flexible. They're padded, they're soft, they're very easy to use, and they're very light by comparison to a 200 watt glass covered solar panel. Now the change out on that, the glass produces much better power for the battery. So this becomes a math problem not only in wattage, but in how long you can produce power where you are, the quality of the units. The portable, lightweight is not going to produce as much power, in my experience, as the heavier, less portable item. So you see where we're going. We're looking for about 10 minutes now. We're looking at initial ideas and where they lead. This is not a snap judgment. This is not something you're going to go out and buy tonight. This is not something you're going to listen to this, go, Helen, I think we should probably go get one of these. If you've got something already, be it solar or be it gasoline, evaluate what you've got, and let's look at the type of things that are happening. Let's look at the problems that we are experiencing. And I'm thinking a flood or an earthquake, or I'm thinking a major disruption due to disease or due to some sort of social upset. Getting in and getting out with that which is yours can be very important. Is it time to reevaluate how you're going to sustain yourself? It's important to do that. I like to every 6 months look at things, because you and I both agree, whether we don't agree on everything, we do agree things are happening pretty darn fast right now. So staying up to date, looking at your options, evaluating, and the biggest thing for all of this, looking at the cost. How long will these items last? What do you need to keep them running? If I lose a wire or a cable or a plug-in, am I totally hosed on my solar operations? Possibly. If I foul a plug or I have a problem with some of the mechanics of my gasoline generator, how out of the game am I? So these are the things I'd like us to look at. Look at having backup power. Look at how much power you're going to need, how you are going to use it, and how you are going to sustain it. Be very careful. Go to the number. There's a couple of things to be careful of. I was on Facebook. We recently opened a Facebook group for both the Refuse to be a Victim personal protection training, but for survival beyond the bug out bag. And I'm seeing hundreds of different ads for solar generators, solar batteries from different companies. Look very carefully. I am going to take Facebook to the woodshed on this. I'm seeing, power your whole house on this 25-watt panel. It's not going to happen. Your home takes just a bit more than 25 watts. Something 25, a Wi-Fi router takes 25 watts. A pellet grill, you couldn't do it. That's 60 watts. Be very careful of the advertising. Be very careful of the hype. This is a research project. Also, don't go to the sponsored websites. If you go to Buffalo Bob's Fill Dirt and Generator, no, it doesn't really exist. I'm just trying to not name anybody specifically. If you go to a website and it's sponsored by, guess which product is most likely to be the best one for you to have? Well, theirs, of course. I try and go with independent sources, and I also like to confirm if 3 people say that brand A or brand B is sustainably better, that's the one I'm going to look at. I do like real-life reviews. I love Amazon only for that reason, and that you can get not only the really good, which I'm suspicious of because the typos are the same even though the names are different, but when you get a bad review, look at what they're upset about. Oh, I didn't like it because it didn't come in red. Well, okay. Look for the things that you're looking for. How many watt hours does it sustainably produce? Gasoline or solar? How long can you run the thing before it's going to start having some issues? Recharge time, as well as looking at the quality. I had to send mine back 4 times. How's the customer service? Customer service is very important. I had some issues when I was getting into the business. Part of it is I was new to using a solar battery, and I didn't understand things. If the customer service people or the frequently asked questions are built for new users, and they can say, oh, Bill, what you need to do is bump, 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 you solved your problem, you're back on the road. I've had some significant good and I've had some significant bad interaction with several of the different companies. And that is something you should look for. I think I could probably get sued if I sat here and said, oh, brand X is really bad. They've got 25 negative reports. I mean, nobody wins that way. So let's keep an eye on solar power and gasoline power. Look at what's going to work best for you based on where you are, your available resources, and how much you can spend on upgrading and refurbishing. If you've got a lot of old style incandescent lights, maybe start looking at those new energy efficient bulbs. They're going to take a lot less energy and they're going to be bright. Look at alternates. Again, flashlights, these headlamps, you look like a coal miner or a spelunker, and they're very cool. They only take 5 watts and you can see for days. Let's see, what else should we talk about? If you got suggestions, if you got a particular story about a generator, either gasoline or electrical, please let me know. If you found an exceptionally good review or an exceptionally suspect review, please share that with me. I'd love to see it. On a couple other points, I have mentioned this before. I want to mention it again. My wife and I came back from a walk, which we'll tell you about here in a minute. But both of us, we felt like we'd been breathing over the charcoal grill. Our throat and lungs were just, oh my God. And we looked and I think the air quality was 200. Okay, that was not a good move. Air quality of 200? I don't think so. In addition to what you're going to do outside, as far as if you want to wear a mask just to get the smoke and soot out of there, look at your house. I mentioned this a while back. I'm going to mention it again because the air filters in your furnace, most of them, if you get the high-priced 9 out of 10 really good ones, Martha Stewart loves them, that type of thing, they're guaranteed for 90 days. Campers, we're getting about 30 out of ours before they start looking like the bottom of a white sock you've been walking around the kitchen in. They get gray, they get dirty. If you can't imagine touching it, you shouldn't imagine breathing through it. So change your filters, your furnace filters. Yes, they're expensive. I mean, I think it's $10, $15 for some of these things. The good ones can run up to $30. The other side of that is don't get yourself a $50 filter that you're guaranteed to get so many days out of. I have not examined the washable, quote, quote, you can wash them off and then they're all good again. I have mixed emotions on the HEPA filters that filter out everything. I'm not sure. I need more research before I can make a positive statement. So when I get my little light popped up on the dashboard, time to go in and get the car changed, you're going to want to change those air filters when you change the oil. I looked at the last one, it was like, oh goodness, I change them every time. I used to be one of those guys when they came in, it was just upsell, upsell, upsell. You need some new lights in there? Dashboard lights? Leave me alone. I get the filters. Because they pulled one out and said, right in front of me, and said, here you go, what do you think? I didn't want to breathe that. The darn thing was brown. That was on me. That was my fault. Now I change them every time, especially in the summer when the air quality is this bad. And I change my furnace filters not only because I'm breathing this stuff, my family is breathing this stuff, but you can damage your system. Damage your heating and cooling system. Bah. Okay, want to move on to a couple other things. I mentioned taking a walk, and I find this kind of interesting. Last week I was grumpy. I had to get that stuff off my chest, And two things happened between then and now that have really, really kind of turned me around. I don't back away from anything I said. You heard what I said. I meant it. I stand behind it, and I'm willing to hear your ideas. What I also found, well, we took a walk. My wife and I were here in our mobile home park, and it was late. We were watching a movie, so we were out a lot later than we normally go, and we're wandering down the streets, and we noticed at the end of one of the streets we made a turn, and we were taken aback because there's something big in the middle of the street that shouldn't have been there. Wasn't a car parked or anything, and then there was a glint of metal and a foot scuffling, and I thought, uh-oh. So I turned my flashlight on low, and it turned out it was one of the neighbors standing in the middle of the street with a really cool telescope. Well, we said, hi, pardon us, and as we're walking down the street, we hear over our shoulder, "You guys want to see Saturn?" Oh my God. We did, and it was amazing. Two things about this. One, I have not looked through a stethoscope in years, and I'd forgotten, you realize the Earth turns, right? There are some people that say, no, it's flat. We'll talk later. Keeping Saturn in the center of the telescope so you can see it is a tough job. We're moving pretty quick, and this guy adjusted, and my wife got to look, and it was just thrilling. We had a great time, met a good neighbor, saw a planet we hadn't seen in years. We don't get together as often as we should, and it was a nice thing. It could have been one of those where we're walking down the street and we saw a glint of metal and it got really ugly. No, we met a neighbor, we saw a planet, we learned something we didn't know. It was great. The other thing, I admit, even though I'm a diabetic, my wife and I both love ice cream. Well, we like to support local businesses, and there's a place here in Phoenix called Harper's Ice Cream. I'm going to throw their link on the sign-in, on the login, and we went in to get a cone because we'd had a long day and we thought we deserved one. Rationalize anything if you work hard at it. And they said, hey, we're having somebody in you might like to meet. There are 9 survivors currently of the invasion of Normandy, or D-Day as it's known, and we got to meet Tech 5 Cletus A. Bailey, who survived the invasion. And not only did he get through Normandy and have an excellent career, and I want to say 97, I lost a little piece of paper I had. He was born in 1923, sounds like about 97 to me. Not only is he out and about taking care of business, he's from the East Coast. He's out here on a tour. Not only is he out touring and talking about his World War II episodes, he can operate an Apple Watch, and that puts him one ahead of me. So if you're into Harper's Ice Cream here in Phoenix, as you're standing there facing the Ray's Market, they're on the left-hand side in the back. It's a small little shop. They named a flavor after him. It's the Cletus Butter Pecan, and my wife happens to just love the ice cream, and we're going to go over again. Yesterday they had the TV stations out there interviewing him. We didn't get a chance to talk to him. I'd like to go over and say thanks. As a fellow vet, thank him for his service and hear his story. So those are just two nice things. We found a new ice cream shop, we found a new story at the ice cream shop, and we got to see a planet right here in our very own park. So that's kind of the good stuff. You can't keep doing bad stuff and grumpy stuff or you'll all walk away. See what you can find out in your neighborhood. Some stories, some experiences. Keep your mind open to not being so angry all the time. Reminders, yes, indeed, we have classes. Never going to miss out on those classes. Coming up in October, I'm going to call up the calendar. I want to say that it's going to be on October. I'm stalling because I'm clicking. It's October the 14th is our next concealed carry class. We have nailed down the non-ballistic self-defense class. Phil and I worked through it, and it is absolutely incredible. You don't have to be a fifth degree black belt. This is built for using body mechanics and things you have with you and the aggressor's own strength against them. I'm a pretty good sized fella, and I'm 6'3", 225 pounds. My wife, who is nowhere near 6'3" and nowhere near 225 pounds, she's a petite flower. With the things we're teaching, she could easily, if I were to, I never would, but were I to grab her and I'm going to shake her like a rat terrier, I'm going to end up on my butt. I could get my arm broken, and there are ways to defend yourself that are legal, that are ethical, and they are fun to learn. So we're going to be posting information on that, and we hope that you'll drop by the website now and then, and again, take a peek at our little Facebook groups, see what we're up to there. A reminder, on the 28th and 30th of this month, we have the long distance sight-in for the hunters. It's going to be at the 600-yard range. There is the regular shooting range, and then a little bit up the street on the kind of like where the drag strip is, there is a 600-yard range and a 1,000-yard range. We will be shooting from 300 to 600. Information's on the RVSSA website. You can call. It's your regular cost to shoot, $5, and you'll have to pay for a target. So that'd be like $3 for a couple sets of targets. They'll be shooting 300, 600, 400, 500, give you an opportunity to sight in your firearm for hunting, and it's kind of a community service. My goodness, your own personal long distance range. It's a good idea to bring a buddy. It would be a real good plan. You and your hunting buddy come on out. You can work together, and you can work on, one can spot, one can deal with the targets. I mean, there's a lot of good things could happen. Get on out there. Be accurate. So we got hunters sight in, we've got new classes coming, we've got our regular concealed carry, and we've got about no more time left. So thank you very much for listening. Do share this with your friends and family. Do subscribe, and if you got questions or comments, do give us a shout, because this is your podcast too. I'm Bill Bateman. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. The preceding program was a presentation of Retired Guy Productions.